All right, guys. I just wanted to. Was watching this video today, and actually, I really liked what I saw from the Pantheon stream, which was Pantheon Rise of the Fallen HDRP Part II. If you guys haven't seen the Part 1, you should go back and definitely check that out. Hold on a second. I need a drink. Definitely check that out. But I want to take a look at. So they covered a couple things in this video, and I think it's pretty cool where they're going. If you look back at the HDRP Part 1 video, they kind of showed some of the biomes, and they're really infancy, and like basically just kind of blocked out levels. Like there wasn't a lot of fleshed out like textures or a lot of detail, and some of the systems, like I think even the wind and the animated grass and stuff like that probably wasn't in place. Or maybe it was. We'd have to go back and look at that one.
So like Chris said, we're going to be talking about the biomes, and actually see.
So here you can see, this is like some of the levels. One of the things I want to point out is I do like the scale. I've mentioned in the past where I felt like Pantheon's scale of some of their buildings was too large, and I don't know what it is about EverQuest games, like, because this was, Chris, what was the guy? Brad McQuaid was part of EverQuest. He worked on EverQuest, and then you have EverQuest 2. But some of the scale of the cities in EverQuest are just massive, and I'm not really a big fan of that because it doesn't feel like a fantasy game. Like when I look at this screenshot or look at this video straight, right now that I'm looking at, it looks really good. It's very realistic. I like very realistic looking fantasy environments. I do think that they need to do some stuff with the background, the mountains and stuff. I'm not really happy with the shapes of these mountains. Again, they don't feel that realistic to me. Like when you see these, just look like huge boulders that have been scaled really large. So, yeah, so that doesn't really, to me, doesn't look quite right. As you're going through here, I mean, you look at this. This doesn't, like, maybe the one back here looks like a mountain, but this just looks like a big boulder that's just huge, right? Doesn't look like a mountain per se, so they need to do more. And again, these is early parts of the game, so they're still putting stuff together. But I'm hoping that they'll flesh out the mountains more and make them feel more like mountains. And you can see here, and also, I mean, this is still early, but it looks like they still have a lot of work to do as far as fleshing out the grass. I mean, this is very, there's not a lot of grass going on here. I mean, you have grass everywhere and dirt and a few plants, but it's still very sparse. And you look at like what looks to be some sort of festival dock, I guess they built. And again, they're going to have to do more detail here because it's still just very early, and all the textures are all pretty basic. There's not, there's no dirt or grime or scuffs and stuff in the wood, and there's no like water line on those posts. So normally, if you're going to have posts, and I don't know, let me see if we can, how high we can go on the. It would actually help if I had it at high res. I don't know why YouTube always starts my videos off at the lowest quality. But eventually you would want to see, the water line, like wear and tear on these beams based on water erosion and just water effects and rotting the wood and that type of stuff. That attention to detail goes a long way, I think, in making a world very believable. And I do like, let's see, he's still probably talking.
Are seeing the mountains come into view, developing here.
Okay, I do like, I love seeing the trees bend in the wind. And as you can see, we are going up into what he calls more of the mountainous ranges. Again, here, this boulder to me looks a little, and I hate to be nitpicky, but that's just the way I am. I'm very detail oriented. That's the kind of person I am. So I think this looks a little too smooth. Too many faces are too smooth. We need more, pits in it and scuffs and stuff like that. So, and I see that, and when we see this type of look, like rocks like this, I mean, it's actually not bad. It's actually not a bad thing to have rocks that look like this, because you do get a more stylized look. Like if you think of a game like Fortnite, the boulders and stock structures in Fortnite do feel very stylized. And I think that's a good thing. And I think, from an art point of view, it makes the game last longer. If you have a game that's super realistic, sometimes it doesn't stand the test of time. Although I think Black Desert's done a great job of, for whatever reason, it still looks good today, and it came out in 2014, so that's very impressive. You think normally when you have something that's a little bit more realistic, it does kind of not look as good as the years go by. But I think Black Desert's done a good job, so maybe we'll have to go back and look at Black Desert and see why. But I do like the rocks. I like the rocks. I like the shape of these down here. I just think that if you have a choice to make, do you want to make it more stylized looking, which is a little bit, in this case, a little bit smoother, or do you want to go for a little bit more realism? And here you can see some various grass and plants, and they're going to need more variety. And I think one of the games that I would recommend that Pantheon look at is New World, because I think New World does a really good job of the plants and the trees. They feel really nice. So if we go and just say New World, gameplay, let's just say New World Forest, Forest's biome or something. I'm just wondering if we can find a quick video. We're not going to get it. We're probably just going to have to go New World gameplay or something. Unfortunately, this is a game at the very beginning, and they're not in the woods yet. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't really want to go down this path. Well, but anyways, if you take a look at New World, and of course, they're not going to let me get to just like a forest. Come on, lazy peon. Okay, but and even here you can't really see. If he spins the camera around, and this is kind of on the edge of a cliff, but you can see there's a lot of variety even here just in the plants. I mean, there's some flowers, a couple weeds. There's even here's a different weed than this one. This one looks different than this one. You've got some flowers. So there's quite a, what I'm trying to say is that in Amazon's New World, there is a large variety in the foliage. And I think that's something that we're going to want to see. And even here you see, again, you can just see lots of different types of things going on in the grass. Here's some small little flowers and weeds and some different weeds and trees and stuff. So I think, when you look at this, obviously in Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, again, I think, they're still in a very, very early stage of the game. I hate saying that because I say it every time I talk about Pantheon, but they're still in the very early stages of the game. So, I'm sure they're going to add more as far as, fleshing out the trees and the shrubs and the weeds and stuff like that. And you can never have too much, but there always is, performance issues. This is an interesting little rock structure here. I'm not sure the purpose of this, but that's interesting. I'm assuming this is a grate, and then maybe there's a water duct or something, or what do you call those? Oh yeah, so that's the shots they showed there, and they're just going to keep playing through this. And let's go to the next section where they basically show what they're trying to show off here. This game is still a long ways away, Lost. I think this is still, I still think they're probably 2 years. But just basing it on the development history of the game and how slowly they've developed and the fact that their team isn't very big, I'm still thinking this game is going to come out probably in like 2024. Would be my guess. Like maybe, and I'm talking like late 2024. But we do know that the alpha should come out this year. I mean, I'd be shocked if the alpha didn't come out this year. They started really in 2014 was when they first started putting together a development team to work on Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. I think it was like 2014, but then they did like a reboot. They like did some work on the game and stuff, and then I think 2014 is when they started trying to get people together, like a development team and money, and then they started doing development in 2015, I think. And then after about 2 years, they completely started over. I think they scrapped what they had. They didn't like where they were going. They started over in like 2017, and then they developed from 2017 until about until probably about 2020, and then and that's when they started like making some pretty big changes because their game engine, just like the stuff they were doing. Plus, remember they're using the Unity game engine, which really isn't. When you start going all the way back to like 2017, actually, I think it was 2017. When you go all the way back to then, it really wasn't the best game engine for like an MMO. So Unity's been working on making a lot of updates and changes. So I think that's probably hindered them a little bit. But now where they are right now with Unity, it's finally got to the point where I think it's, they can do some pretty good stuff in Unity with the HDRP. Yeah, they haven't. Like, if you look at the timeline, I know, and I've been one of the people that have really bashed on them. But you got to remember, they've had a very small amount of funding, and they've had an extremely small team. I mean, literally, they only have like 2 programmers. I mean, a lot of stuff they've been doing for the game is literally for years was just a couple of programmers. You know what I mean? I mean, they had some art people, and they had some, maybe some landscape, some level designers and stuff. But I mean, for just code, for pure coding, I think they only had like 2 people for like quite a while. Oh yeah, so check it out. In January 2014, Pantheon was announced. And then you get all the way back to 2017. They announced a series of funding A was complete. 2019, lead programmer left the company, so they actually lost their lead programmer in 2019. They were replaced by Kyle Olson. Okay. 2020, Chris Perkins was promoted creative director. I think really to me, when the development started to really get going was in 2020 when Chris was promoted to creative director. You also have to remember Brad McQuaid died in 2019. And it's and I hate to, I don't want to mean to cast shade on, Brad McQuaid, but I always felt like he was kind of like the Chris Roberts of MMOs, meaning like he always wanted to do so many things, but he never was very good at kind of like finalizing a clear vision. I never thought of him as having the best clear vision. I always thought he was one of those who was like, let's do this, and let's do this, and let's do all these grandiose things. So I think when I don't know if I'm right or not, but I'm just kind of taking a stab in the dark. But I feel like when he passed away, it actually kind of helped them because then you got Chris in there, and I think Chris is much better at really pushing forward with a clear vision. So that's just my opinion. I have no idea what kind of truth there is on that. But once Chris took over, it really felt like they started to make headway. And the biggest headway they made, of course, was the networking engine. So if you guys haven't, you go back and watch some of the videos on the. I'm not going to talk about it now because that's not the point of this video. But if you go back into the Pantheon Rise of the Fallen YouTube channel, there's plenty of videos on there where they talk about the changes they've made to the HDRP pipeline and the changes they've made for the networking. And once they've done, and then changes they've made to just the tooling. So the tooling's been increased, been improved, the networking's been changed, and they're still in the process of switching out the networking and stuff for the new stuff they're doing with Unity. And but that's all in progress. Yeah, I always felt like he was the Chris Roberts. You know how Chris Roberts is always like, we're gonna do all this stuff, and he just can't say no. He keeps wanting to add, and it's the perfect. It's scope creep. You keep adding to the scope of the project, but you're never really, you never say these are the 5 things we're going to accomplish and just get them done. With Chris Roberts, it's like these are the 5 things we're going to accomplish. Then next week, okay, now here's 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10. You just keep adding. So you get into this development hell where every time you get 2 things done, he adds 2 things, and so you're just constantly, you know what I mean? That's what Chris. I always felt like Brad McQuaid was a little bit like that. Anyway, so here they're just showing them walking through these zones, and they're showing like how the grass moves, how the plant stuff move when they walk through them. I will say that the movement isn't that great. Like it's just like a quick twitch left, right, like doot doot like that when they hit something. So watch when he hits the plant. It's just like a doot doot, and watch the grass when he hits it. You just see it kind of just bounce left and right really quickly. I would like to see a little bit not so abrupt movement of the grass, but that's a very small complaint in the grand scheme of things. So that's all they're really showing here is that the grass and stuff, the foliage does kind of interact, okay? And now they go into discussing the water implementation, and I think the water in Pantheon, I think water is something it's really important in MMOs, I think, and a lot of MMOs don't do water very well, but from what I've seen so far here on the water, it looks really good. And the reason I say it looks really good is notice the lighting effects. Notice how over here through the hole in the little rock area over here to the left, the lighting coming through looks good. You can see good reflections of the trees here when you get closer. And then here, when you can see where the water is not as deep, you can see that the clarity or the visibility through the water is much clearer, which makes it more realistic. So I really like what they're doing with the water. And Joppa talks about, and you can see here how you can see the ground because the water here is only probably like, I don't know, maybe 6 inches deep. 6 to 8 inches, and then when you get off here and it drops off into the deeper water, it changes. You don't, obviously you can't see the bottom, but then you get more of that kind of blue, typical water that you're used to seeing. Whereas here it's not so much blue because there's a bottom, so you're just seeing through the water and you're seeing the colors of the moss, and I like what they've done here. I think the water looks really good. And then here's another shot of the water, and I think there's even one more shot. Maybe, no, I guess that's it. They just kind of cycle through these shots, but I think the water looks good. And then, looks like how well used to. Oh, actually, there's if we look at some of the model animations, they actually look pretty good. And you're going to see that right now. We're going to talk about the day-night cycle. But watch, like here on the right's nighttime. Here in the middle was daytime, and then and the left is more of like the, dusk, evening, whatever, late afternoon. I don't think these are the best screenshots to display that, but And I think sorry, I accidentally jumped ahead. Sorry about that. But notice you get a good look at the walk cycle here, and I actually like it. It's got kind of a nice. Notice how she's got nice forward movement to it. Like when she's running, she's kind of lifting up off the ground, and she rotates her shoulders right and left, and her torso is also turning. So the running animation is pretty good. Also, notice how her left foot, even like the toe of her left foot, turns outward to the left, which makes it look a little more realistic. Some games you don't see that. Notice how here her right toe on the right foot is kind of turned outward. See how now it's almost kind of level, and you'll see it though. Let me let it go. Watch her left foot; it just kind of turns out as she runs. But it's a pretty nice running animation. It's not the best. I've seen a lot better. I mean, the hair in this game unfortunately looks really bad. This game is not going to be one of those games. This game's not going to be one of those games where we're going to be like, oh my god, these graphics are great. I really don't think the graphics in this game are going to be that great. I think they're just going to be like okay. I think there's always a few things you can look at with an MMO to really give you an idea, to really like set it apart. Like when you look at a game like Black Desert, the hair obviously looks so much better in Black Desert than it does in a lot of other MMOs. And I always think the hair is a quick telltale of how good the overall graphics are going to look. And I did a video on Pantheon before where I really bashed the armor, and some people got really mad at me, I think, but I really dislike the armor in this game. I think it looks very fake, and it just doesn't look very good. I'm not real happy with the armor and the clothing in this game or the hair, but that's just, it's obviously not the most important thing of a game. But I do like I think the running animation is pretty nice. And then, of course, what this is all about is really the day-night cycle. So here is the day cycle. This is in the middle, daytime. This is nighttime. Okay, this is nighttime, or at least more late evening. You can see there's some light hitting the mountains over here to the left, top left corner. And here you have all three. So I think on the right it should be like night, but it really doesn't feel like night. Left is evening, and of course the middle is daytime. They do a better job on this one here. And again, I'm really not happy with the armor and the clothing, and I don't really like the fact that the dwarves are blue. I thought that was a really odd choice to make dwarves blue. Excuse me, I'm on my lunch break, so I'm eating. Yeah, I'm not real happy with the clothing. But again, once again, look at the posture, the animation of the running cycle is really good. Look how his left leg is forward, his right leg's back, his left arm's back, and his right arm's swung forward. I think it's a really nice running cycle. Looks a little abbreviated. Like he looks a little like he's just doing a very slow jog. Now here's nighttime. Now this is this is nighttime, right? This is true nighttime. You can see it's very dark. You can see there's some lights or lamps over here, or torches or something that's illuminating over here. So I think that really shows you that it is very dark, right? And then there's actually more. I'm gonna look at some more. Okay.
Show two different flyovers that we have.
So we're gonna do some flyovers here that are pretty. I think they're really nice. Let's take a look at these flyovers.
Different times of night.
I mean, this is. I mean, first off, I want to say a couple things. I love the architecture style of the tower. It's very, very cool. I like the night sky. I like the clouds, but there's way too many stars. I don't know about you guys, but this is a lot of stars, and they look too big. Like all the star points look really big. It's like it doesn't look very realistic, so I'm not real happy with that. And I've seen that in a lot of the shots where they're showing starry skies. It's a lot of.
Yeah, so this is kind of.
It's not the best looking night sky I've ever seen. Very static.
This is the dusk, right? Because the dawn is a little bit more golden. Yeah, I love the sort of the weather's a little cloudy, and you get the.
I love the fact that the trees are waving in the wind. I think it's exaggerated, but I think in MMOs that happens a lot, and they're probably making them a little bit exaggerated. Just I don't know, just for the video, but maybe it's going to be like that in game. It is overly exaggerated. I mean, trees aren't always waving this much, but I mean they're waving quite a bit.
It's you get that fantasy element, I think.
Yep. And then we got a night flyover. Let's show that.
Also
golden. Yeah.
I want to show. Look how these leaves are kind of fluttering. It looks pretty cool. These leaves on the tree here. Watch how they kind of flutter. Right? See them fluttering right now? See that?
Cloudy.
That gives you like the wind kind of buffeting them. I think that's pretty cool. Now we're going to see the the night sky where they've actually got the crickets at night, which of course always makes it feel like, like
You
nighttime.
get the sort of, it's you get that fantasy element, I think.
Yep. And then we got a night flare. Let's show that. So you can see that darkness. And I think
Okay, now I love the crickets, love the darkness, fantastic, awesome, 10 out of 10. But again, the night sky just does not look realistic to me. It looks like it came out of some sort of a kid's cartoon, It looks like it came out of like Snow White and the Seven Dwarves or something.
for a long time we've talked about how darkness is going to affect players, right? From spells and tools that you're going to have to carry around and all that. Oh, there's the crickets. People are hearing them. Got it on that one.
There you go. Well, and what I think this shot traveling along the road, this is what you'd expect, but then here we go. Heavy fog. You want to talk about immersion? You want to talk about mood?
Seeing some
You wanna talk
atmospheric
about,
effects now.
having that sort of medieval feeling or setting, like when that fog set in, and I almost felt the mist on my face.
And I'll give you guys an inside scoop here with David. When he found the command to check out the fog, I think, David, remember, what were you saying? Like the scale? You kept saying scale for the giants, right? You're like, oh, the scale, it's huge. It's so big. It's scale. It's big. When the fog hit, I think David talked about it for about a solid hour, about how much he loved the fog. So.
I got really excited. This excites me. Listen, I'm going to be honest. Like, you see rain or you see thunderstorms, you see other things like in games. When the weather, look, you can see the difference between a clear, sunny, or even like partly cloudy day here, and then when the fog sets in, it just totally changes the mood, and it really sort of brings you, it makes the world feel alive.
Mm-hmm. And the cool thing about this is, how the degree to which these things can be dialed in. So while this, for an area like Thronefast, is a very, it's just like a very foggy day. I mean, a very foggy day
Turn it up
in
to
Thronefast,
11.
but we can dial that up to 11 depending on what we're trying to accomplish in a certain zone, and it's not even a static thing. I mean, this can be dialed in to roll in as a natural,
So yeah, I think the fog looks great. I mean, I totally agree that the fog adds a different dynamic. Like when you look at this time, it's the world seems big and large and open, and then as soon as they throw the fog in, now it seems much more closed and quiet and almost dangerous. You're feeling like monsters are going to jump out of the fog and attack you. So the fog effects are really great. And again, we don't see those in games enough at all. So that's really good to see. Here, let's take a look at this. Now here we've got nighttime in the rain. Now the trees are moving a little bit fast.
So that's the first one there. We have one more. I love in the chat, we're seeing them talk about like the lightning and how it lights the area up. That was probably.
I would have a couple complaints here. One, the water's coming 100% straight down. I don't like that. I would like to see some variation in the direction that the water's coming from. Make it come back from the left to right or something, or make it be varied. I mean, having it straight down all the time just doesn't feel good. The other thing, my other complaint is these trees to the right are moving far too erratically, and you'll see that here. Look at these leaves up. It's just kind of erratic. It just feels like they're going left and right instead of like maybe moving to the right slowly and then coming back. You know what I mean? There's not it's too consistent. It feels too artificial. And they feel like these trees are almost alive. You know, they're doing a lot of crazy movement. Watch this tree on the left here. I was just like, left, right, left, right, left, right. It feels a little bit too artificial. Now over on the right, you can see it again. These trees are like crazy. But yeah, I would like to see the rain not come straight down entirely all the time. Now this is really nice though. I love how at nighttime here you're getting a good look at, you know, just lighting at night, and I think it adds a whole other level of immersion to have night cycles where it gets really dark, and we just don't see it enough in MMOs. So this is actually really cool, you know.
Just a visual experience.
Excellent. So, David, we wanted to leave it open to take some questions. So, chat, please start firing some questions in there, and we'll try to.
I don't want to go over the questions. We can see here's just some time lapse where they've run through, you know, the sun coming up and what it looks like, and you can see the sun kind of moving across the bridge here. I think they have a long way to go yet. You know, I like some of the things they're doing. Now here you can see as the sun moves across the sky, we're going to start seeing the shadows. Eventually. Eventually. Well, here, let's just look at the tree shadows. Are they moving? Yeah, now see the tree? Just look at the shadow on the tree here, and you can see it moving as the sun moves around. Yeah, I guess the shadow's getting longer. See how the shadow's getting longer and longer as the sun goes close, because the sun's basically behind us, and it's setting. So the shadow's getting longer and longer as the sun gets lower and lower to the horizon. And now it's just going to get dark. Anyway, so it looks pretty good. Yeah. And then, wow. But the transition, yeah, I don't like how I really don't like the sky boxes they're using. The transition in the sky to this starry night sky it just doesn't look realistic. Like, I don't think the sky that they're using is very good. Like, you know, look how all these stars suddenly just show up. It looks like somebody just has a painted backdrop that I feel like I'm in a play, like on a big stage, and someone just, you know, in plays when you go see like a play and they just roll down a big canvas in the background with all the stars on it. It's like, okay, just roll down the canvas. That's what it felt like. You know, and it's moving like kind of fast. I mean, I know that this is probably, you know, sped up time lapse, but yeah. So, but I do like outside of the sky. I don't like the sky, but I do like the shadows and stuff. I think look really good. You know, here's nighttime, back to day. All right. So that's all. I didn't really want to go into too big detail, but you can see, you know, I think it's a pretty good update. They basically talked most about the water, the rain, the thunder, and the lightning, and the day-night cycle is mostly what this video is about. But let's see if we can do, just to compare that to a couple other games, let's look at Black Desert's day-night cycle. Okay. I'm trying to see if we can get one that's a high-quality one. Notice how in Black Desert, there's not all these crazy, like, we don't see any clouds here. Look at the crab running along the beach. Now, one of the things in Black Desert I didn't like was the water in Black Desert. I don't like this kind of water. I mean, I like the water in Pantheon a lot better, but Pantheon doesn't have the big waves yet. We haven't seen them yet, so. And here's what it looks like. It's starting to get darker and the colors are changing. But notice, like, in Black Desert, when it gets more towards night, you don't see this huge backdrop of sky come with like thousands of stars, you know. You'll see it's just a few. You know, you'll see this is, to me, this is much more realistic. Notice how now you see a few stars just kind of pop through, right? And that's, to me, is more realistic. If I back it up a little bit, the star here disappeared. See that? Yeah, so these stars just slowly start to pop in. And then here you can see, you know, I think I just like it better. I think it looks better than what we saw in Pantheon, which had just like entirely too many stars. And I'll try to, hopefully the guys on the forums will watch this video, or somebody will watch this video from Pantheon and get my feedback. But yeah, I don't like what they're doing with their nighttime. Yeah, and here's, you know, as we're getting more towards morning, probably. Yeah. And this is a beautiful, like, morning with some, you know, morning mist. And there you go. And there's now notice how the clouds in Black Desert are much more way. They feel like they're much more way in the background. They do this partially with this kind of glow on the horizon, which kind of glows out any clouds you would see down here at the horizon level. And then they push the clouds a little bit up more towards the top. It makes the ceiling of the game feel much higher. You know, it makes it feel much higher. Whereas if we go back to this one here,
getting weather in place, getting the flora and the biome system.
Excellent.
Here you see all this. It just doesn't look as good. I mean, you can see here this sky system versus, you know.
All right.
Ah. Yeah, so look at the difference, okay? And this, to me, is much more realistic feeling. This is much more fake. Now, these are two different games, of course, but I do feel like they really should think about revisiting their clouds and their stars and stuff, because I don't think it looks that good. Where's the... like this? I mean, and I think it's cool, but
it's not going to mimic real...
But it's just too much. It feels like I'm looking at a galaxy. You know, when you go to like an encyclopedia or something, or you go to like a library and you look at, well, of course, people don't go to libraries anymore, but when you used to. But when you go and look up pictures of like galaxies, this is what galaxies look like, thousands and thousands of light years away or whatever. But, you know, it doesn't look that good. Now, is there any other, I wonder if there's any other games we can pull up for like a day-night cycle. I'm trying to think, what's another major game? I guess, I don't know if Final Fantasy even has a day-night cycle, to be honest. Let's try to take a look. Final Fantasy 14 day-night cycle. And so, yeah, actually, the clouds here in Final Fantasy look pretty good for like a stormy sky. And again, during the day, they've got a lot of clouds, but again, they've got this kind of glowy haze on the horizon. And I think that's done on purpose to kind of blend the horizon into the sky. And you can't really see much here. There's not a whole lot. It's not a whole lot going on. How about, let's do Skyrim. Well, this is only 720. Yeah, Skyrim has some nice... Now, they do that kind of... Yeah, they're doing more of that crazy... They're actually mixing multiple things. They've got a layer of clouds plus another layer behind it with the stars and stuff. Skyrim gives you a lot of variety, and if any of you guys have ever gone into Skyrim and used the tool where you can like kind of like type in console commands and actually change the weather on the fly, which I've done, it's actually pretty cool. But Skyrim has some pretty cool day-night cycles, I think. Even if we went to like my Steam account. And let's see if I can find it really quick. And if we go to details now, games. So if you go to my Steam library, right, you can see some of the screenshots I've taken. Now, one of the games that I really do like for detail is Dragon's Dogma. So like if you look at Dragon's Dogma. You can see Dragon's Dogma has a beautiful day-night cycle. You can see this is beautiful nighttime scene, and this is also Dragon's Dogma. And again, kind of pretty good. It has good. One thing in Dragon's Dogma did have. I don't know if I like. Here's a screenshot I took of the sun coming up over like a castle, and you can see a kind of an interesting looking lens flare going on here. But I do think Dragon's Dogma's got a pretty beautiful day-night cycle, and it's very reminds me of Skyrim to some degree. And here's like daytime, and again, not a lot of crazy clouds like Pantheon has. And I think the clouds that Pantheon have just look too phony and fake. And I really think they need to revisit that. And I took this screenshot on purpose, and I thought this screenshot to me like, and I'm gonna see if I can. Let's see there. The reason I took this screenshot is the detail. Now, if you look at this screenshot here inside Dragon's Dogma shows a lot of really interesting things that a lot of MMOs don't take the time to really implement. There's some bad things in the screenshot too, like the seam of the wall, but meaning the grass and the ground here is it's really a harsh, bad seam, and some of this weird seams going up to this rock thing here is bad. But the good things are, and what Dragon's Dogma did really well was they did a great job with the erosion of the ground and like the erosion of stone. And notice how these steps are just worn down from thousands of years or hundreds of years of people walking up and down them. See how they're just worn in places? Also, notice that this is like a little aqueduct or whatever you call it. It's like a little water drain over, right? So some water drainage. But notice how this water drainage obviously drained in through this ditch here. And notice how it eroded down into the ground a little bit, creating some nice little rocks, and it's really cool. And notice how the ground itself is very curved, it's very concave, right? It's very curved down, and that's from just the water, the erosion. And so that I took that screenshot for that reason. And a lot of games don't take the time to put this kind of detail into them, and Dragon's Dogma did a great job with detail. And that's stuff I like to see in an MMO because it really increases the level of immersion. Here's another shot. Where again it's just kind of showing that layering and that erosion. We'll see if I can give you this one here. And here you can see here you've got this grass and you've got this, but notice how this piece of dirt here is elevated and raised up, and then down here, and see how the stuff's all eroded. Like this is just a path through the village that's just worn from people walking on foot through it, and just obviously when it rains it probably gets really muddy. And it erodes over time, and that's why you have these kind of very big dips. And also notice the steps once again being covered by the dirt here and then being eroded, and then just the wood. And there's lots of instances in this game where the wood is really worn, and again, you don't see too many MMOs go to this level of detail. Here's another shot I really liked. There's a lot of really cool art in Dragon's Dogma. Okay. What I like about here is you got the wheat field, but just the lighting, the shadows. It's very medieval. You've got this big castle keep, and then inside of the castle keep, you've got what looks like maybe some hotel, like almost like a hotel, or like a big huge inn with rooms that people can come in and rent. And I liked that one. There was another shot I did. Let's see. Here again, this is just another one that shows you that erosion level. I mean, look at how walking down through these buildings in this village, look at how worn and eroded the dirt is, everywhere. It's very curvy and heely and bumpy, and you can just see that it's all, been eroded from the rain, which is pretty cool. And then here, now we're going to get into Skyrim. So some shots I've taken in Skyrim. And Skyrim has, I think, some beautiful skyboxes. Like this is just really, and Skyrim, I think, does mountains better than a lot of other games. A lot of games when you see mountains, they look really phony. I mean, although these aren't the most realistic, but what I like about their mountains is they always have like clouds in the mountains that gives you that kind of, it's like when you're looking at like a Bob Ross painting, layers of clouds and mist and stuff give depth to your view. So you want to add these mists through the trees, like you want to add some not ambient, but you want to add some volumetric fog through the trees, and you want to add some volumetric fog through the mountains, and then you want to also put a sky that feels very far back, and it does. Look at how good this sky looks, right? This looks great. Now, do I have that Now compare that to, let's see if we can get it here. Well, we kind of have it there in the screenshot, but I wanted to get a full. Compare that sky, that day sky, to, this. I mean, these are, look how fake and phony the Pantheon Rise of the Fallen sky looks in comparison to just Skyrim, which is not even an MMO, it's just an RPG. I would like to see them do more with the skybox. And again, even the mountains, like I said, the mountains look very almost stylized. See the mountains, they look like just big boulders that are just really large, as opposed to, they don't really, like these boulders here in the background don't really look like mountains to me. They just look like a big pile of boulders that they've scaled them in the 3D tool. And same thing with the rocks here, they're too smooth faced. Yeah, I'm not really a fan with how they're doing their mountains in Pantheon, and I'm certainly not a fan of the sky. So Skyrim does it. I think Skyrim has one of the best worlds as far as it feels big, it feels large, and it feels immersive. And if you go through here, we can find a couple different ones, and you get like again, there's all kinds. Like here, we've got really kind of a misty looking, there's like lots of fog and mist. And it's a very cloudy night with fog plus the steam coming off of this water. Looks really cool. Here's a beautiful sunny day in Skyrim. Again, I think you get to see just how the mountains, they may not be the most realistic mountains, but you can tell they look like mountains. And there's this, again, this feeling of great depth and distance. It feels like a very large world, and the sky looks really cool. So yeah, I think Pantheon really could take a lot of tips from Skyrim, and I'd like to see them do so, and try to increase some of the quality of their skybox. But they're a very small team, and that's the problem that they run into. Is it's a really small team. They don't have that many people, so not sure what they're going to be able to do. And here's another one. Again, you'll notice that almost anytime you see mountains in a distance, that there's clouds or some sort of volumetric fog, and that's done on purpose to make it feel further away, and also to hide some of the detail. It's just a good tip that when you're going to show mountains, I think in an MMO distance, you should always throw some fogs in there. All right. I don't know if there's any other videos. Ooh. Here you see in Skyrim, you do see that kind of weird backdrop. They do have some weird starry backdrops in Skyrim. What's another game that has a good day-night cycle? Right, maybe you guys can think of one. I'm trying to think of one. Well, we've got Elder Scrolls. I don't really know. Elder Scrolls Online. I don't really know what it looks like. I would imagine it couldn't be that far from... No, this is something else. I can't imagine it'd be that far from what we see in Skyrim, right? Ooh, Hogwarts Legacy. That game looks like it could be kind of fun. We're not getting the Elder Scrolls Day-Night Cycle. What's another big game? We don't want to look. We need a game that's more on the realistic side of things. We did Black Desert. Trying to think of another game. How about Justice Online Day-Night Cycle? Because Justice Online is a beautiful game. I can't even find it. Justice Online. I mean, it has some of the most beautiful graphics, right? I don't know if you guys probably haven't played Justice Online because it's not available in the West. I've played it. I've actually set this game up and played it. It's pretty hard to do, but I mean, look at these graphics. I mean, to me, Justice Online probably is I think it's got the best graphics of any MMO I've ever played. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, look at these graphics. Look at look at all the variation, the detail in the. Let's see if we can get like some more. I mean, just this village, all the different variety of plants. And when you're walking around, and the water in this game is just really nice. The water is fantastic. And it's got that effect of where you can see where the water is not very deep, that you can see through it and see the bottom. But then as you go as the water gets deeper, it'll get dark. See, or their fish isn't the best though. Their fish seem awfully high to the surface, but he's gonna probably fly. The flying in this game is the best flying, the best flying, like jump flying of any MMO. He didn't do it though. He just jumped in the water and swam. But if you go to my YouTube channel and search for Justice Online, you'll find sometimes there's probably a few videos of me playing this game. Just look at the graphics. I mean, just the loading screen is like, holy crap, right? Oh my god, this game was so beautiful. Let's see if we can get to where I'm in the water. I mean, just the little butterflies, the flowers. Oh. This game has serious eye candy. There's even that was a cool map. Look at look at how good it looks. And there's the flying. You can literally the flying in this game is insane. Look at these mountains in the distance. Wow. It's like Avatar, right? It looks like it came out of the movie Avatar. Look at the flying in this game is some of the funnest gameplay of any MMO I've ever played. Just flying around is fun. You're like, it's so cool because you get these beautiful views. Now what you're doing is you have a fly meter here. So as this little white dot's moving around, you're trying to hit the spacebar again right when it lines up in the middle on the white, and that will keep you, flying. Look at me just gliding around. Oh my man. It's just, I can't talk enough about how fun the flying is in this game. It's absolutely amazing. And you can see, you'll see like fish going through the water, and there's actually like parts where you're walking across the ground, and there'll be leaves on the ground, and like beneath a tree there might be like a pile of leaves, and if you run through the pile of leaves, they'll literally fly up off the ground into the air, which was something I've never seen I've never seen that in an MMO. That was a first.
Is MMO wise, just for the art, so much detail in the rocks and the
1440. Let's view it.
Everything they do in this game, art wise, is quite beautiful. The trees, the falling flowers, everything. I love the little trailing images that kind of ghost behind me. Super cool.
Look at that map. That map is so cool, and I don't remember this map when I played the game. I don't. But that was really neat. But again, you just see it's a really cool game. But anyways, obviously Pantheon. This is made by a AAA, company, and I don't know if I'll be able to get in and play this game again. But I might try. The problem with playing this game is you need a translator. It's all in I think it's Chinese, I believe. Anyways, I'm gonna stop the video, guys. I was just this video was more about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. I kind of got off on a tangent, but I think they are making good progress in the game, and I think when we talk about like Lost Ark or some of the games that people are playing now, they're such terrible games in my opinion, because if there was a video that Asmongold did on where he's talking about Lost Ark, and if you go here and if you look at Asmongold's channel, he did this video here where he's talking about a message to Lost Ark devs, where he's just basically talking about how crappy the pay to win is. And the thing is, like, if you look at the comments here, you're going to have Hi, I'm Fox, right? So Hi, I'm Fox, he's got his own, big YouTube channel, right? Hey, what's up? And he does tons and tons of Lost Ark content. And this guy's been doing Lost Ark, and he's played a lot of the Russian Lost Ark. And he's got quite a few subscribers. And he's saying, thank you, Asmon, for using your reach to send the message. It means a lot to me personally, because I got a lot of shit. I get a lot of shit from speaking up against the game. We've already lost 2 to 3 guildies because of their frustration from honing. It's horrible right now. And I actually did a pretty big comment on this. You guys can go read it if you want, where I basically said I don't really understand why people would want to play a game like this, because why do you want to put in a bunch of time into a game where the top 5-10% of the players progression wise are just people who are swiping their credit card? Why would I want to play in a game like that? I mean, to me, paying for stuff is almost like it's akin to almost cheating. It's like I don't want to play in a video game where people are cheating. And even though it's not really cheating because it's part of the game mechanics. I mean, if you want to pay with your credit card, but it's like how could you honestly feel prideful or feel any sense of accomplishment being like the best geared character on the server when all you did was just use your credit card? It's not like you did anything skillful. You just swiped the card. I mean, Asmongold interviewed a guy that basically just straight up said he spent like $15,000 in a month on Lost Ark, right? Right here.
How much money?
This guy spent $15,000 in a month just getting geared up, and this idiot is saying stuff like, oh, and here's his gear score, 1430, and his name's Assy, and he's saying, oh, I just enjoy being able to help my guildies out and boost. And I'm like, that's great, but you spent $15,000. Most people don't want to spend $15,000 on a video game, and most people can't afford $15,000. That's a lot of money in a month. That is a lot of money. I mean, my salary, all the money I make, is nowhere near that. I don't make anywhere near $15,000 a month. Not even close. I mean, you'd have to be pulling in probably about $200,000 a year salary to be clearing, and remember, to be like netting. Like, actually, I take that back. You probably have to be making about $300,000 a year, right? Because remember, that's net. That's how much you're netting. Like if you what's 15,000? That's 150,000 plus 30, so it's $180,000 a year, right? But that's net. So if you made $130,000 a year, you're not going to see $15K a month. I mean, I make like over $100,000 a year myself, and I guarantee you, I'm nowhere near clearing $15,000 a month, right? So that's insane amount of money to spend. And so why would you want to play in a game like this with people that have the best gear that they paid for it? Why would you want to, it kind of invalidates what you've done to a degree. You're like, you're killing yourself playing 10 hours a day every day. And you're like, woohoo, look at me. I've got 1370 and I killed you myself playing 10 hours a day every day. I got 1370. And then this jackass walks up and goes, oh, that's cool. I got 1430. You know what I mean? So it's like, why do you even want to play? I wouldn't want to. So it's just, and a lot of the games are like that. So the one thing about Pantheon and Rise of the Fallen, circling back to Pantheon, is that it's not going to be like that. Pantheon's not going to be like that. Pantheon's not going to be like that. And also, Ashes of Creation has said that they're not going to be pay to win either. We'll see. But I mean, I do think we're gonna, and I actually, games like Lost Ark are a good thing in a way, because they show game companies that this is, at least I hope they're, and that they're good. I mean, they're showing game companies this really isn't what you should be doing. This isn't how you should run your company. Now, the Asian companies have gotten away with this for a long time because apparently Chinese people are stupid, or I don't know, but they love to spend money on these games. They love to just spend their whole paychecks on them. Maybe there's nothing else to do in China. I don't know. But I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to spend money on it. I don't want to spend more than the price of the box price. I want to buy the game for $50-$60 and play the game. If it's an MMO and the game goes on for for years and years and years, which is what I prefer, and they want me to pay $15 a month, that's great. I'll pay $15 a month. Somebody's got to pay for those developers to keep rolling out the content. Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, hopefully, is not going to be anything like that. I think cosmetics are the way you want to go. Like if you go to Black Desert's cash shop, there's a lot of great stuff in the cash shop that's just cosmetic, but there's of course a lot of stuff in there that's also pay to win though, which I don't agree with. But I don't have a problem with cash shops in MMOs as long as they're just cosmetic things, or if you want to buy a mount in a cash shop. I don't really agree with that. I agree with Asmongold in that like mounts should be achievement based stuff in game, and that way it's kind of cool. If you've got a cool mount that was hard to get because you had to clear really hard content, it's cool to be able to pop it out and ride around on it. People are like, oh man, that guy cleared all that difficult content. He must be a pretty good player. Or he spent, he put some effort into getting that mount. It makes you feel good about your mount, as opposed to, oh, he just went to the shop and swiped his card. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So Pantheon, I hope that we're going to see a shift away, because I think we've seen a shift over the past 5 years to pay to win and itemization and monetization in games. And I'm hoping we're going to reach like a head. We're going to reach like a point where people are just going to be like, fuck this. And just, and the one way we can stop all of this is people need to stop playing these games. Don't play these games. Or if you play them, don't give any money to the cash shop. Don't pay for pay to win mechanics. because if the players, the gamers are what are ruining the games. They're sinking their money into this stuff, and companies are reaping the rewards. World of Warcraft has actually made more money last year than it did the previous year, even though they had like half the subscribers. The reason that is because World of Warcraft is making money off all the cash shop transactions, people paying for stuff in the cash shop, and that's sad. That's really sad. And anyways, I think that's it for this video, guys. Yeah, that's it. I mean, Pantheon's still a long ways away. It's they haven't even done the alpha yet. But definitely go check out the YouTube site. Watch some of the videos. I think Pantheon. I like where they're going. Like, remember the explorable world in Pantheon? He's like, you can reach everything in Pantheon. Like, when you look at, they fixed the climbing system such that anything that you can, pretty much any part of the world you see, you can get to. You can get there. And the climbing system allows you to climb on just about anything. I mean, you can climb on mountains and hills, and probably you might even be able to climb trees. I don't know. But the climbing system is, I think, one of the more forgiving climbing systems of any MMO. So you'll be able to climb a lot of stuff, which means they're gonna hide stuff in little, way out of place areas. So, exploration stuff hopefully will reward you with some rare stuff. So, yeah, but I'm out of here, guys. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday, and catch you guys next time. Peace out.